When you have to be looking far and wide for something that you want in order to do something that's going to bring you peace, that can actually do the opposite of bring you peace. That can fatigue your mind. And I don't know about you, but I really hate having to look for something and not being able to locate it. Hey beautiful people, I'm Gabby from QUAINT, and on this channel, I share sewing tips and tutorials that will help you on your sewing journey. If that sounds like your vibe, hit that subscribe button and click the bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Today, I want to talk about organizing your fabrics. I recently did this for myself, and I can say that it lifted a huge weight off of my shoulders. I find myself trying to find fabrics, knowing that I have the fabric and having a hard time getting to it. And that just made my sewing experience really cumbersome. So if you've ever found yourself in a situation like that where you know you have a certain fabric, but you just can't seem to find it, or you have to be going through too many steps in order to find it, then this video is for you. Having a system in place for your fabrics can make your sewing experience a breeze. And since you want to have a peaceful sewing experience and you want your sewing to be your therapy, why not give yourself a system to make it easier? The things I'm going to share with you in this episode are going to help you to do that. So this is what I did to get all my fabric organized. The first thing is that I cleared out the spot where I keep all my fabrics. That was helpful because it allowed me to see all the fabrics that I had. I sort them in terms of fabric types. I put all the stretchy fabrics together. I put all the mesh fabrics together. I put all the leatherette fabrics together. I put all my cottons together, all my African prints together, and I even went as far as putting all of my fusible interfacing together. Now, this part is so huge for me because I've been sewing so many times and I don't know where to find my pellon. I don't know where to find the fusible interfacing, and because of that, I'm just like, okay, I need to just go get more. And then when I get more, I search and I realize that I actually had pellon all along. So this is gonna help me to not have to buy extra fabric when I already have it. After sorting through all of my fabrics, I was then able to go through and check to see if there's anything that I no longer want. I stumbled upon fabrics that I haven't looked at in ages and fabrics that I will never use again, and I put them into a bag that I was then able to throw away. This is something that you can do if you find that you have lots of fabrics that you aren't using or don't plan to use. You could either donate them, or you could just simply throw them away, or you could make something else with them. Perhaps you might have some fabrics that you don't like anymore. And if you're the type of person who makes money off of sewing and you do commissions, then you might just have fabrics that someone chose, but you don't intend to use those fabrics for yourself anymore. You can choose to either give those to someone or throw them away. Or you can use it as stuffing inside a pillow, a dog bed, or a stuffed animal. There are so many things that you can do with fabrics that you don't want that doesn't involve throwing them away. It's really important to do this because you don't want to have things around you that you're not utilizing, unless you're the type of person who just likes to hold on to things, and then that's where you could end up with like way too many things for the space that you have, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you definitely want to get rid of anything that you won't be using. Declutter. So think about who you are now, think about what your sewing style is, and then make sure that you keep fabrics only on the basis of what your sewing style is. If you find yourself holding some fabric in your hand and you know for sure that you've had this for like 3 years, and you haven't used it and you don't even know what to make with it, you're probably better off giving it to someone else. If you want help figuring out your sewing style, I have a video all about that, and I will leave a link to that in my description box down below. You can also find it up here in the cards. I feel like in the sewing community, we often feel like we are immune to overconsumption because we aren't buying from brands, especially fast fashion brands, but you can still overconsume even as a sewist. You could be hoarding fabric and packing up a lot of things that you'll never use, and that is just as harmful as hoarding clothes and buying a lot of fast fashion things. I made a promise to myself to not buy fabric unless I really need it. I don't even step foot into the fabric store unless I really need something. And when I do go into the fabric store, I always make sure that I stock up on the things that I really need, the things that I know I will end up needing within the next couple of weeks or even the next couple of months. I can go months without going into the fabric store because I have a stash of fabrics and notions that can last me for a very long time. There are several ways that you can sort your fabric. You can choose to sort them by color, by type, by size, and even by project. Let's say you sew bags and you sew swimsuits and you sew regular clothing items. You could choose to store all your swimsuit fabrics together, all your bag fabrics together, and all your regular clothing item fabrics together. If you choose to store them by type, you could put all your stretchy fabrics together, all your cottons together, all your knits together, all your leatherette together. And if you're storing them by color, that means that you would pretty much just mix a bunch of different fabric types together, but by the same color. So if you have red leatherette, red swimsuit fabric, red cotton, you just put all of that together. I chose to store my fabrics by type because I just feel like that's going to be a lot easier on my brain. If I know that I'm going to be sewing a swimsuit, I know exactly where to find the spandex because I put all the spandex fabrics together. If I want to make a cover up to go with that swimsuit, I know where to find my mesh fabrics because I put all of my mesh fabrics together. If I want to make a bag, I know where to find the bag fabrics because I put all of my bag fabrics together. Now, after organizing all my fabrics, I went ahead and found containers and storage that I already had at home. So storage is another very important thing to think about. Where are you going to be storing these fabrics in terms of the space and containers? I have a little cubby in a closet and I use this to store my fabrics. Maybe for you, it's a shelf. Maybe it's a drawer. Maybe it's a barrel. Maybe it's one of those square containers and you have to put it on top of a wardrobe or something. You have to figure out what works for you. But I would recommend that you have your fabrics in close reach where you'll be able to get them easily. So that way, when you're ready to sew something, you don't have to be going through too many steps in order to get your fabric. If you want to do this on a budget, then you can do what I did. I just searched around my sewing room to see what containers I already had. So I could organize my fabrics without having to buy anything new. I was thinking of going to the store, but then because I'm the type of person who likes to act on my ideas right away, I was like, let me see if I have anything around the house that I could use. And I did find a few containers. These two, I bought them last year and they were holding things like zippers, webbing, piping, and a bunch of other things. And I found that I could put these somewhere else. I put them on this mop stick that I have underneath this shelf. Yes, it's actually a mop stick. If you come from the Caribbean, you know that proverbs. Tonya and make fashion. So I am now using that as a place to store all my elastic, all my webbing, all my boning, all my piping. And this is actually going to make it easier for me to access them because I could just hold on to it and roll it down and cut what I need. If you go into the fabric stores, you'll notice that this is how they store all their things that they have to wind off of a roll, like ribbons and bias binding and webbing and yard zippers. So if you have a pole or something in your house that you can hang in a horizontal way to put all your rollables on it, then I would recommend that you do that. The added bonus of this is that it's right there in front of me, so I can be able to see exactly what I have. So instead of thinking, I probably don't have any 1-inch black webbing, I can look over there and I can see that I definitely have that. So I won't end up buying that double by mistake ever again. Now, once these containers were empty, I was then able to use them to store some of my cotton fabrics and another one to store some of my spandex and stretchy knit fabrics. This is so helpful for me. If you notice in the fabric stores, they use these long rectangular things to wrap the fabrics around. Those are called bolts and they come in different sizes. This makes it easy for you to wrap the fabric so that you can slide it onto a shelf and easily slide it back out. But if you're like me, you probably don't have any of those. So you can just go ahead and fold your fabric in a way that works for you and put it into a container. I would recommend that you use containers that are squares or rectangles because this will store a lot more. This is what I have found for myself at least. So having all of my cotton fabrics on display like this makes my life so much easier because I can easily look and think, okay, I have orange, I have have green, I have yellow, I have blue, and so I won't find myself in a position where I have to be wondering. No, because I know that I have these colors. Same thing goes for my spandex. If I want to sew a swimsuit, or if I want to sew something to wear to the gym or some form of activewear, then I can see exactly what's there and the color, and based on the size, then I can know that, okay, I have lots of that, but I don't have lots of that. I made sure to pack these so that the top of the container would be flat. That way I'd be able to stack them on top of each other. This will end up taking up a lot less space. I also had some boxes from some packages that I received lately, and I decided to use those as storage solutions. Now, this is something that you can do if you have no containers around your house. You could just find cardboard boxes, and you can even make your own storage like I did here. I took this clear plastic fabric, I stitched down the sides, and then I squared the bottoms so I'd be able to get this right here. I put some cardboard into the base of it so it would be sturdy, and then I folded my fabrics and put them inside. I only did one of these though because I only had that much fabric, but this is something that you can do if you have fabrics that you don't intend to use for any other project and you want to give it a new life, but you don't want to throw it away or donate it. Then you can do something like this. Use it to make storage, use it to make a plant pot cover, use it to make drawstring bags to store things around your house. As for these boxes, I took some felt fabric and I used my staple gun. When my staples ran out, I had to use my regular stapler. But if you don't have any of these, you can always use crazy glue or a hot glue gun, or you could use fabric glue like E6000. I neatly wrapped the felt fabric around the boxes and it looked so beautiful. That's a really cool idea and a really fun way to never have to throw your boxes away. Well, I mean, you might have so many boxes that you do want to throw them away, but if you ever want to recycle your boxes, this is something that you can do with them. Just wrap them in fabric and use them to store something. It could become a tray, it could be a catch-all, it could be something that you use for storing your fabrics, for storing your zippers. So many solutions await you. So I currently have 2 of those boxes, and in one of them I have zippers, and in the other one I have more fabric. And as you can see, they are folded neatly here so I can know exactly what fabrics I have. This works perfectly for me because I am big on organization and I'm big on being able to see exactly what I have. I'm also really big on easy access, and if I can just stretch up above my cutting table and reach for my fabric so I can cut them, that is a plus right there. I used one of these boxes to put felt, and those felts I'm going to be using to do applique and flowers. This is one of the flowers that I've made with my felt fabric so far, and I think it's really cute. I did find this really big box and I didn't have enough fabric to wrap it, or I didn't have any fabrics that I wanted to spare to wrap it. So instead of wrapping it, I just left it raw. You don't have to be fancy about this at all, especially if you're just a functional person and you really just want to get your fabrics organized and keep it moving. I also have a bunch of protein powder bottles that were just laying dormant, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give them a new life. So I washed them out, dried them, and took them into the sewing room. Guess what? I was able to use them as storage for some of my fabrics. In one of them, I put mesh. In one of them, I put African print fabrics. And in another one, I put a blend of cotton and satin. Now, this is beneficial for me because without even opening the bottle, I am able to see what is in it. This is a great way to utilize things around the house without having to buy something new. And I am so big on reusing and recycling. If you can find a way to get more value out of things that you've already spent your money on, then I don't see why. Like, I'm the type of person who will save a peanut butter jar or like a nice glass bottle that I had a drink out of, or like a champagne or a rum bottle, because I can use it to do something else. And that's exactly what I did with these protein powder bottles. I just rolled my fabric up and I put it inside. The beautiful thing too is that I'm able to stuff them down, and when I'm done, I'm able to cover it with a cap. This can also be really great for keeping the integrity of your fabric because it won't be exposed to the elements or any insects or any form of moisture. Now, once I was done putting all of my fabrics into these containers, I then went ahead and put them back on the same shelf where they were before. I put 3 of the protein powder bottles labels on the left hand side, and on top of them I put more containers, and then on the right hand side I put this big box, my clear storage, as well as these other boxes. I ended up moving these two boxes at the front to the shelf that's above my cutting table, and that makes so much more sense because in it I have zippers and felt, like I said earlier. Now, one of the things that you can do to make this easier for yourself is to add labels to your containers. I did not do that because I can already see exactly what's there, and I don't really have such a big catalog of fabrics that I have to label them. What I like about this new storage system that I have is the fact that I can easily take things out with one go instead of having to go through a bunch of different fabrics. Like if I want to get to the box that's under here, I can just take out these other containers, put them somewhere, and then go through the box, then put everything back. It's not this huge ordeal that I'm gonna have to go hunting and try to find this thing anymore. And I'm so happy that I got to organize my fabrics because my head can be a lot clearer now when I'm ready to sew. In addition, you can take pictures of your containers or take pictures of your fabrics and make a note of where they are stored. You can use different apps like Trello, Airtable, Evernote, Notions, GoodNotes, or even just the Notes app on your iPhone. Take pictures of your fabrics, and beside them you can write, okay, this is in that bin down there, this is on the third shelf there, this is in that box there, and that is going to make it so that you can have a reference point. And if you forget where that file is, you can easily type in, where are my fabrics? Maybe you'll give it that title. Just think about what title your brain will register the fastest and put that as the title of the file that you're going to be saving all this information on. Wherever you are storing your fabrics, you want to make sure that it is dry so that moisture won't get into your fabrics, because this can cause mildew or it can cause the dyes in your fabric to run if you work with those types of fabrics. You can also utilize clear plastic bags, anything that will allow you to see your fabrics. This will also help to keep dust out of your fabrics, and it will make your fabrics stay cleaner for longer. If you are into quilting or applique, then keeping your scrap fabrics can be very helpful because you'll be able to use them to make your quilts or to make your applique. And if you just have like one place that you store all of those, that can be super helpful. For me, I store all of my scraps in these bags at the side of my cutting table, and that's because I know I want to use them as stuffing for pillows. Under here, I keep all of my leatherette fabrics and I use those to make bags. Now when I'm ready to make a bag, I will never look on the shelf again where all my clothing fabrics are. Now I know to look here because this is where all of my bag fabrics are. Is there anything that you do to store and organize your fabric that I didn't mention in this episode? Leave that down below in the comments and let's get a conversation going. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and if you love this video, you might also love this one or this one. I'll see you there.